Who, me?
Too late now?
Yeah, you're lying, Daryl.
Probably.
It's too late.
Amateur hour.
Oh
Do
well.
you think at some point in the next few years?
And run, VT!
So,
Novak leaves and it all falls apart.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well,
So let's
Gary
start.
enters.
Anyway, so hello and welcome to the weekly HudUniGames again from our home offices. So my name is Duke, and I'm still joined by Ash, Daryl,
Hello.
Mick, and
Hi.
Gary. So Gary, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I'm Gary. I'm an ex-grad from the course. I've been running my own little studio for the past 6 years as an art director, and I also do a bit of work with the university as part of team project. So I'll probably, catch up with first and third years at some point when we start
Cool.
doing the jam stuff.
Thank you. So we'll dive straight into the bit why we're all here.
I'm so
Of
excited.
course. For those of you who join us every week, you will know that Gary takes great delight in our What's on the Box, and now he gets to do it himself. First ever.
I'm not going
Awesome.
easy on you all either.
Right.
Do we have the video for this? I don't know if we do. I think we do still. Here we go.
What? What you can say?
You tell me. The box, who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
It's definitely the most random video, I think.
It's so awful.
What do you think? Matt was just like, shove that in, press that button. I'm sure he was. So, so for those of you who don't know, What's on the Box is those are 5 this week, we will take turns to read some text from the back of a game, and then it's up to the rest of the team
We just
to
lost
guess.
3 viewers.
to guess what that is.
I blame Matt.
Yeah. And obviously we'll watch the chat as well to see how you guys get on, because you guys are usually better than we are, which I don't know if that means you just have Google open in the background. But who knows? So, I'm first. Okay. And mine is be the ultimate modern warfare general. Name of game, puts your trigger finger on the pulse of modern warfare. Prepare your forces, General. It's time to engage in the next generation of real-time strategy.
I feel like there's a
Timer
theme.
is on.
He just choose the same game every week.
Red Alert 3.
Red Alert 19, yeah.
So, any thoughts?
Well, yeah, it's probably Red Alert 19.
CNC Generals.
Anybody else?
My first thought.
Actually, Mick's probably right.
Yeah, real time strategy.
5 seconds.
Company Heroes. No, it's a Modern Warfare. Company Heroes is World War II.
There you go. Time's up. I haven't played Company of Heroes for a while. Mick was right. It's Generals, which I enjoyed.
Nice.
And I know it got panned quite a lot, but I quite enjoyed Generals. Bit of fun.
Well, I think we all knew it was Command and Conquer. It's
It
finding
was-
which one.
It's the only games I've ever played.
Well, that's because when it's like, well, pick a game, and I go up to my game drawer, and it's mostly Command and Conquer or driving games.
Or a driving game, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much all driving games are Command and Conquer. Anyway, Daryl, you're up next. Let's see if it works this week.
Oh,
Did you
God.
fix your
No,
slides?
No.
You ready?
I hope so.
The moment of truth. Hey, you appear to be
amazing.
able to use Google Slides.
Miracles do happen. Right, meet the world's newest celluloid superhero, introducing an average guy that gets caught up in stunt-filled action movie world in order to rescue his girl Sylvie from the clutches of evil. Blessed with moves, must use his newly acquired superpowers to clobber an army of enemies. Utilize VFX power to zoom in, slow down, or activate max speed to fight your foes with style.
Blinks to Time Sweeper. I don't
Well,
know.
Muzzy's here on time this week.
Nice.
So down at speed to so.
It's going to take me
Nobody
a
look at the
week to
chat.
read
Nobody
it
look at the
again.
chat.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
struggling. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know any Sylvia. So
Sylvia, yeah.
Sounds to me like I could have left his name in there.
what is his name? Give us a clue.
Often
No,
at
it's in the title. It's in the title of the game. That's why I removed it.
Ooh.
Then a
Hmm.
guy. All right, I'll tell you what. Go on, I will. His name's Joe.
Beautiful Joe?
It is
Joe
beautiful.
Danger.
Oh, I have played it, but a long time ago.
I've never
Oh.
played it.
It's a good shout.
I didn't have a GameCube, that might be why. Unless it was on anything else. Right, Mick, you're up. You ready?
Okay, yep. Okay, to the moon or bust. The ... needs stuff, lots of stuff. So grab everything you can and help the ... build a pile to the moon.
Now, there is a game called To the Moon. I assume it's not that easy.
Given how old Mick is, it's probably something like Lunar Jetman.
No, it's not that. It's not that old.
I know.
Well, no, it is a bit old, but it's not as old as what you're.
I glanced at the chat.
Program.
So. Oh yeah, Kerbal, that'd be good. But I didn't like Kerbal. Well, I think I need to play Kerbal again. I had to play for a bit. It was like, yeah, I think it was early on though. Need another try. Anyway, I don't know. Anybody else?
No, me neither. No idea.
Chat saying
Anyone in
rabbits.
chat?
Rabbits for chat.
And
Rabbits go home. Oh, somebody's got rabbits go home.
Nice.
Zoop. Whoever Zoop is. Got rabbits go home. Full name.
First
Gary.
round.
Oh no, I feel like my slide's gonna be broken. I just sent stuff to the back.
Your first ever one. You can't be broken. You ready? Hey.
Yes. Yeah, it worked.
Ooh.
You have to.
I get to look at the chat now, so.
City must.
Yeah, you know,
Need
Gary
timer.
reads.
Yeah, go on, Gary.
it.
Read us the text. You've got to read it in your best voice.
Okay.
Movie voice.
The city must survive. Make the law. Maintain the hope, and wait your choices. There you go.
Didn't have. Oh, timer. There we go. Timer's on.
The day job.
I want to say like Syndicate, but I don't think it's that.
I'm
not.
guessing it's some sort of management style game.
Yes, it's
Really?
some sort of SimCity spin-off.
Yeah.
With a city.
Game warmer.
law.
Game warmer. It's one of the best games I've played in like the past 5 years, maybe.
Not a clue. But there's lots of people guessing the same game. So,
It's not Reigns, is it?
Oh, time's up.
They're guessing a game I've never heard of. So there we go.
Where's the?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have to press the button. I was waiting for it to come up.
I thought I broke it. Yeah, Frostpunk.
Ah,
Not played that one. Come. Is that one?
played that.
Literally never heard of it.
It is one of the best games I've ever played. It's
Really?
so good.
Is it on everything or just?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, PC and consoles and stuff. Yeah, really good.
And it's more like SimCity style.
Yeah, it's like
Management.
city management thing, and there's a lot of like moral choices, and you make laws and stuff, and it's just really good. Like the soundtrack's incredible, the visuals are really good. It sort of demands like a big kind of emotional, so it's got plays on your emotions quite a bit. It's really good.
Cool. And finally, Ash. I don't think
Last
I've
but
ever had
not
5
least.
before.
Oh,
we
probably
go.
a while back. So claim the something, an ancient weapon with the power to reveal the future and lead charge against a vicious army of mechanical invaders. And then start the timer, I guess.
Oh, sorry. It's a good job you lot are here to tell me what to do, isn't it?
Deadly silence. Even chat's not moving.
Yeah.
I was trying. Obviously, it kind of the thing that you claim clearly is really important and probably named in the title of the game. But I can't square that circle. I can't put those things together.
All right, well, it says claim the Monado, an ancient weapon with the power to reveal
Oh
the
God,
future.
no! I'm still none the wiser.
Monado, no.
Oh, timer's gone. I'm just glancing at the chat. There's a couple.
Oh, one, yeah.
Oh,
We've
I'm
got
thinking
one.
it sounds like some sort of obscure Japanese RPG.
Possibly.
So is it this Xenoblade?
It's Xenoblade Chronicles. Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Nor have
Really
I.
good game. They redid it on the 3DS and then it's just come out again on the Switch. Milking it for all it's worth, but it's an incredible JRPG.
Cool. Looks like a Shadow of the Colossus type. Is that like a massive robot thing?
Yeah, it's two titans have sort of stopped moving, and you live on them, and each sort of side is at war with each other. I've just seen chat. Someone's literally just bought it and posted in Discord. I saw that, but I put this in last week, but I didn't attend last week's stream, so
Yeah.
and you didn't get it.
On to what we're going to talk about this week. So Gary's going to talk to us a little bit later on in the chat about his experience of coming from college to higher education and then after graduation and the successes that he's had. But before that, we've had quite a lot of questions. It's Freshers Week last week, and we've had a lot of recurring questions, all of us, so, myself, Ash, Daryl and Matt. We've had the same kinds of questions popping up. So we wanted to just address some of those in a kind of almost a FAQ style. I guess relatively briefly, and then we can get on to the fun chat with Gary.
And just to reiterate, there is an FAQ on Discord in the server settings, so have a look there before you sort of ask again. It's probably going to be posted there.
Cool. So first one up. Well, I can't answer this question. People have been asking me this all last week, and I was like, I don't know. I used Max when it was on DOS. So who wants to take this one?
Type in the numbers.
Yeah. So I'll just say the same thing. I've had numerous questions about it from loads of people. Should I use Max? Should I use Maya? Should I use Blender? It's up to you. So you've got to think of it as they are a tool and you're the artist. So whatever you get along with best. Some of you have already got lots of background in different 3D packages. Stick with what you're comfortable with. But what I will say is research them. So you're at a perfect opportunity to learn something new, like 3ds Max. If you want to sort of move away from Maya, you've got loads of time to learn it. And just have a look at what the differences are. So both Maya and Max are from Autodesk, but you'll find 3ds Max is more favored in industry because it's much more user-friendly for artists. It's got a really powerful feature called modifier stack panel, so we can start adding modifiers to our objects and manipulating them, and Maya doesn't have that. So it comes down to you, basically. It's whatever you're sort of comfortable with. But I will say Max is used in 3D assets, so I can help support you with learning if you're new. So I'd stick to Max if you've never had any experience. And it's also used in Intro to 3D as well.
I mean, I would also support what Ash just said there, that if you have no experience with any of the softwares and you're looking to choose one, you're best using 3ds Max because most of the staff that are teaching you are experienced with 3ds Max. So you are allowed to use any other. So if you've got experience with like Maya or that kind of stuff, then what we teach should easily cross over. But for the new students, it's probably advisable to use the software that we're recommending, just so that if you are reaching out for any support, that kind of stuff, we're more knowledgeable in that specific software.
Can I just build on all of that and just say that the techniques that we use in that software remain the same anyway. Topology remains topology. Good topology is good topology no matter what software you develop it in. And actually, even if you're working, I mean, you're not going to be working in labs right now, but if you are working in labs, invariably, you know, if it's just a matter of pushing and pulling verts and looking at UVs and things of that nature, then anyone in the team can do that work without really having an in-depth knowledge of those particular pieces of software. Beyond that, there are a variety of things that you probably should look at beyond that, which is, you know, there are tools and techniques for developing UVs and things of that nature that are not contained within those three main pieces of software, and you can use a separate tool to do it.
Yeah, so it comes down to preference, but for me, it would be Max. It's more industry used. Yes, industry has Maya, but that's preferably sort of preferred for artists who are animating. So they've got all of their different uses. I would say research them. Blender is advancing so rapidly. Like every other week, I see some new cool feature that's sort of putting Max and Maya on their toes, sort of forcing them to start upgrading their packages a bit. So Blender is a good one. It's free, it's open source, but it's not really used in industry much. But that's probably going to change if sort of Blender keeps on the trajectory that they're going at.
Can I add something else as well? And that's that obviously you don't send a Max or a Maya or a Blender file to the engine. Unreal accepts things like OBJs or FBX files. So
Yeah, it tends to be
all of these
more
pieces of
FBXs
software.
these days.
Yeah, absolutely. But the point
yeah.
being that they all of those pieces of software will output an FBX file to Unreal. So it makes absolutely no difference which piece of software you use.
I tell students in prototyping that I don't know or care where it comes from when we're in Engine.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I've just seen a really good comment in chat actually saying they like Maya for its UV tool layout, but prefers modeling in Blender because it's more intuitive. Yeah, I mean, Max has, in fact, the latest version of Max has some really nice UV tools. It's come a long way, but there are tons of scripts that we can get from Max to sort of help with unwrapping. So there's lots of sort of workarounds. But again, it's down to the workflow and the tools. Sorry, Gary.
What's that, Gary?
I've started using a third-party UV tool, which is really good, called Rism. It's just
that's
just
the one
saves
I
me
would
so much
recommend
time.
as well. It's astonishingly good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. But yeah, I agree with
Take some of the skill out of it, frankly. But
I mean, yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I agree with everything else you've said. Like, if you're new to it, then you've got your tutors who are all fluent in 3ds Max, and if you are running into issues, you're going to get the best result by using that software because your tutors can at least try and help you troubleshoot stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the theory applies to them all. We're not here to teach you the software. It's more the theory and sort of help you independently learn these software packages.
Cool. Onwards
I believe so.
This is the shortest slide we made today, I think. I had quite a lot of people say, which version of Unreal Engine 4 do we use? It is in the lecture and the tutorial and week 1 checklist, but as a reminder, 4.25.3. And this is just, I know 4.26 preview 1 is out and it's tempting. It's because I think they've snuck a load of water stuff in, some volumetric stuff, and I think chaos is more accessible in 4.26. So it's, download 4.26 and play, but university work in 4.25. There we go, super simple. Another easy one. Quite a few of our first years are running into problems on Brightspace in terms of accessing Microsoft Stream content. We're all uploading our videos to Microsoft Stream, although I think Daryl's using YouTube as well a bit, or possibly more than a bit. But the problem
only finally is everything else is on stream.
Okay, cool. Everything on stream. So the problem here is that when the university transferred permissions for groups from Brightspace into Teams, not everyone was enrolled. I think late enrollers running into problems. It's dead easy. Just email Teams, Discord, us your user ID, and we can just drop into stream, and it's pretty with under 5 minutes we've got your permissions. So if you run into this problem, you know what it is.
Yeah, make sure you contact the module tutor though, because they've got access to the permissions.
Yeah, it has to be the module tutor. Nobody else can do it. Daryl, you wanted this one in, I think?
It's been
we all want it.
Mad. To be fair, no. I mean, if there's any final year students watching, well done, guys, because they've been taking this stuff seriously. Loads of them have decided that what they're going to do is have their mobile phones as the camera, and they can still work on their PC and share things with me when they need to, and that's been really good. Frankly, being able to see your class like you would in class is totally and utterly different to talking to a blank screen. And it's incredibly frustrating when you're not even getting a huzz and things of that nature, because people have got the microphone switched off as well. You're getting literally no feedback of any kind as to whether what you're saying is going in one ear or going out the other, or whether they've just simply turned around, like I said previously, and they're just playing video games and leaving it on to make it look like they're attending. Ultimately, we are going to be working from home for the next God knows how long, but foreseeable future, and you need to engage like you would in class. So please sort your cameras out, please turn them on. I've said so many times already that your face will be visible in class. What is the difference? There might be a psychological difference, but the sooner you get used to doing this, the sooner you'll overcome that. And beyond that, I guess the other thing is to just keep on engaging in general. If you haven't got a decent webcam, use your mobile phone. Everyone's got one, and there's teams should install pretty much any hardware that you've got.
And at the very least, if you could at least just update there you go, the icon to have a photo of
Yeah.
you. I mean, I've asked my first year students to at least put the photo of them up on there.
One of the bigger issues. Sorry, Mick, go on, carry on.
It's just so that we get an idea of who we're talking to, and that. So if you're not running your camera video feed kind of thing, and that's fair enough. But it's really hard just looking at an icon that has 2 letters on it, and quite often those 2 letters don't even match up to the student's name.
I don't get why that happens. It's terrible, isn't it? But it's that to that.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I just knocked that together very, very quickly just before this chat. I didn't even manage to centralize the text properly, but that would still be great if you could put your name up there. One of the key things we've got a problem with is that when you're in Teams, it doesn't put your name that you want to be called up there. It just has your surname and an initial. So we have no idea what you look like, because we haven't, for the first years, we haven't met you. For me, for the second years, I haven't met you guys really either. So having something that represents you, even if there is some reason that you can't be on camera, do this as an absolute minimum. It will make such a massive difference to your teaching team.
Somebody in the chat said they don't have permission to change your name. No, you don't. That's stuck for now. We've asked the technicians to look at that, whether
But
it's
you
possible.
should be able to put up a picture.
Yeah,
So
you
this
can
should-
fire
this
up
should solve it.
any old Photoshop. In fact, you don't even need photo imaging. You can get a selfie on your phone, download Snapseed, and write the text onto the image. It's 2 minutes of a job. So there's no excuse really for not doing that.
I mean, I think some of the issue with cams is that I know a lot of you probably feel self-conscious. I mean, when I see myself on these streams, I feel it, but university is also about preparing you for life skills. So try and imagine a scenario when you're in a job. There's going to be times when you have to chime into sort of web meetings and stuff. So getting used to it now, like Daryl says, we'd see you in class anyway. It's just good practice to do so. And then we can get a lot of sort of communication from you just by seeing you nodding along, knowing what we're saying is sinking in, and you're not struggling. So cams are essential for sort of helping us understand how you learn. Same with mics. We need that sort of discussion going.
Can I just add to that? Because obviously, I've just had the final years in, and as I said, they've been just superb as far as using cameras has been concerned. And you're delivering a lecture, or just a tutorial or whatever you want to call it, and suddenly someone looks confused, and you can spot it, and you go, it's just like being in class. You go, what are you confused about? And then they tell you. Otherwise, they might not. If you hadn't spotted that, they probably wouldn't have the nerve to go, stop. I want to ask you something. But their questions are generally pertinent. So it's transformative. There's no difference really for us from creating really stilted tutorials that we are creating just us to the computer and then uploading them to whatever service, and you're streaming them later, than having everybody's screen blank. You might as well just be, talking to a brick wall, if you like to, mix metaphors. But that is the difference for us. That having that sort of non-verbal communication, so we can see what you're thinking, is absolutely crucial. It makes us be able to do our jobs 10 times better.
Well, I thought you were suggesting there that was one of Mick's metaphors. You said Mick's metaphors. I was thinking, I didn't know he had his own. I did the other Mick's, not Mick's. Anyway, so right, onwards to the next slide. This cropped up weirdly in prototyping. Lots of people are asking about tablets, and I don't know much about this because it's not. It's a creative thing, but I know Huion are the darlings at the moment in terms of tablets.
Yeah.
Anybody want to chip in on that?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people buying Wacom screens already, which is great. It's a cool tool to have, but first years, you don't know where your passion lies yet. The whole point of being a first year is you're going to dabble in so many areas. So my suggestion would be to get a cheap one and just get used to it. See if you'd use it. If you find you're more of an animator and you're never going to pick up a Wacom tablet or a graphics tablet again, then you've not wasted huge amounts of money. Right now, it's a bit difficult because obviously term started, loads of people buying them, so prices have shot up on Amazon. But I found a link here. It's $35.99. It's not in stock, but it's in stock next week, so it might be worth pre-ordering because that's relatively cheap. I mean,
Can I just-
this
Can you
one,
put
Can I
that
just
link
burst
in the chat if you can, Ash?
I will do,
In
yeah.
in the Twitch chat.
But the one I've got there, 60 quid, I think, and now it's going for 120. So crazy.
That is mad.
Wow.
Can I just add to this that I can't get my head around how cheap some of the HudUniGames stuff is. I literally have paid more for a Wacom normal standard tablet than HudUniGames are knocking out their draw on screens for, which is just mad. I think the one I saw the other day was £249, and I spent £260 on a Wacom tablet once, and that was just a tablet without a screen. So that just doesn't compute.
And
It's
XP
astonishing.
Pen does some quite nice draw, the tablets with the screen where using it as an extra screen kind of thing. I think theirs are around 250, 300 quid as well.
And they're a pain.
Not that we're saying you need to spend that sort of money.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, for now, if you're just finding your feet, £35 is
Mm-hmm.
plenty.
I mean, if you love sculpting in ZBrush and you think, yes, this is the area I love, I'm going to go into, maybe just texturing sort of in Substance, then yeah, obviously having a better high quality tablet helps your workflow. But as you're just getting used to things, we've got people now in second year that thought they loved something in first year and they've done stuff over the summer and their direction's completely changed. So I would suggest holding back on the big spend and just get something cheap and get used to it.
I was reading in the chats when he's saying that sometimes HudUniGames drivers can be a pain. So there's probably some.
And so can Wacom drivers. So
Oh, true,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, don't get me started on Wacom drivers.
exactly.
Something else I would like to say as well is
yeah.
for the first year students, if you're thinking of getting a graphics tablet for doing sketching, that kind of stuff, please still just get a pencil and a A4 drawing pad as well.
Yeah.
Sketching on paper is just so much quicker and it's just so much easier. You're not having to set up equipment, you can do it anywhere kind of thing. So if you're thinking of using a tablet for sketching, that kind of stuff, feel free, but please still have a pencil and paper as well.
It is a complementary skill set, and you do need to develop it. I mean, we're not saying that you need to learn how to paint in oils or anything of that nature, but pencil and paper is completely and utterly fundamental, and you will use that skill for the rest of your career.
And just to sidetrack,
Communicate your ideas is just invaluable, and a little sketch pad and a pen just goes a long way. Like, I feel like I kind of dropped off it for a few years, and now I'm trying to pick up the pen and the pencil again. So I'll do it.
yeah, and always carry it with you. You might be on a train and you get an instant creative thought. You can jot it down straight away. So
She wanted to tangent, I think.
yeah, that was it. But
Okay.
Gary sort of said what I was going to say. So
Right, so change of pace a bit. We're to talk about. We're going to bring Gary in on this as well a little bit. He's got some more slides, but that switch from college to higher education. So we've had a few people think. Now I know we're not on campus, so everybody's finding their feet with the online systems and Brightspace and so on. But we just wanted to revisit some of the differences between college and school learning, teaching versus higher education. So I think Ash, you wrote this slide, but we've these are all the things that we think about in terms of higher education and the difference. So I guess I'll start with the first one. If we take one each, I'll start with the first one. Responsible for your own studies, including time. So this one, somebody asked me last week. I think the question was, how will you monitor progress and attendance? Now, attendance is quite hard at the moment, although we're using Brightspace to do it. But in terms of progress, that's really up to you. We're not going to sit there and say, I think the question was, should we submit our work at the end of every week? No, not for me. I would like to see your work for feedback on a regular basis through the formative feedback system. So if you want to show me something, fantastic. But there's no formal process of tracking your progress. That's you. It's independent learning, independent monitoring of time and progress and things like that. Now, if you're struggling with any of that, we have a study skills team who can help you with budgeting time and things like that. And you can talk to us and say that I'm spending too much time on this or too little time here, and we can help you, but we're not going to do it for you. We're not going to monitor you. So that's my thing on that one. Who wants to take the next one?
it works quite well with the next one is you mentioned we're not, attendance isn't tracked. That doesn't mean we don't want to see you in lessons. We want to sort of see you engaging. So that tells us, if you're struggling or not, or if you're getting on well with the course. So
can I just add to this that this is very different to what I'm doing. It's polar opposite actually what Duke's doing. I'm expecting to see work from my students every single week. It's particularly vital for my final year students, but the second year character animation students I'm teaching absolutely expect to be seeing weekly progress, and there will be a crit session to look at that and see and sort of like monitor your progress from a creative perspective. I'm not expecting you to submit it, but there are several submission points throughout the year. I was going to make sure I keep you on track and what you're producing is a high quality. And the final year students, you've got 6 weeks to do the work. So there's a crit session every single week, because that module is just going to vanish on us if we don't do that.
Yeah, no, sorry if that was confusing. I didn't mean we don't want to see it. What I meant is there's no formal submission of the work at the end of the week that we then monitor the progress to.
No,
but we would always like to see work in that. That's what formative is. So what Daryl's talking about is those formative sessions every week, those crit sessions building up to a submission, and that's very welcome. But what I'm saying is there isn't a set submission point weekly. That then is a case of, yes, you've done week one.
Sorry,
yes,
maybe I'm just being a bit thick. Are we saying that is something that they do in colleges? They actually ask them to submit?
I assumed that based on the question that I was asked, but I don't know.
Well,
I think the main difference is you're responsible for your own studies. So if you don't do it and you turn up to class with nothing, how are we meant to sort of help and guide and support you and make you be the best of yourself? So it's down on you. It's that independent learning. As you've probably seen in my assignment specs, I give you the guide hours that you should be spending outside of lessons, sort of learning and improving, and take those hours further as well. You'll get out what you put in.
I think also just on that point, because obviously the next points don't sort of like talk about the same thing. Given the way that we're working this year, you can hide in class. You could not attend class. In class, you can keep your head down, but you're still physically present, and the lecturer will be sort of cognizant that they haven't spoken to you during that session. It is much easier to hide in an online session and not engage and not show your work. And you can do that week after week after week. And if you do that, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. I mean, frankly, what you're paying for university for is to get our input and feedback on your work. Otherwise, you could simply learn from a book or from online tutorials. The entire point of university is that you engage with someone that is going to challenge you what you've done and hopefully get you to improve. So don't hide under any circumstances.
Yeah.
And
We
things
need to
like
care
weekly
about-
tasks, if we do give you weekly tasks, we're giving you it for a reason. And that's to help you understand a process or a theory or something. And we're giving you the task to help you understand it better, which will then help you do your assignment, your big assignments better, kind of thing. So if we give you a task 1 week or whatever, and we're asking you to complete it, then it's only in your interest to actually do it, because it'll make you understand things better that we're actually trying to teach you.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of those tasks for me especially will relate to the grading rubrics. So if I set you a task, you can expect to see that sort of task is involved in your assignment somehow. So always good to do.
We've gone past half an hour. Let's keep going.
Yep.
Ash, I think, did you want to raise these ones?
Oh yeah, Leslie, there's been to put it nicely, there's been some unruly behavior, which is really not acceptable, and it is taken very serious, not just at Huddersfield University, but across all institutions. You're adults now, you're in higher education, you're expected to behave like adults and treat others like adults as well. So if you're on Discord, read the Discord rules, and then check your student handbook as well. So bullying, harassment, slander, any offensive content shared, it will not be tolerated. There will not be sort of a lot of wiggle room or warnings for you. So just double check those rules and behave. And I'll leave it at that.
Cool.
So also on that, actually, because it's not just on Discord and things of that nature. Again, I'll just say that I've only seen my final year so far. I've seen them several times this week already, for final year project and things, and they are acting like adults. I have no idea what you're going to sort of like face with the first years, but my final years are really seriously, they're engaging, they are turning their cameras on. And what I got at the back end of last semester when we first went down to lockdown was a lot of idiocy as far as what was going on with video content and things of that nature. People sort of inverting their cameras or putting really crazy animated backgrounds in there, sharing memes in the chat. It's not appropriate. I mean, you're there to learn, and it's only a short session. The sessions are something like 50 minutes sometimes. You've got 50 minutes to digest a huge amount of information, and all you're doing is trying to distract everybody else in that group. That's just crazy. Do it in the evening on Discord if that's what you really want to do. Go on Reddit and be an idiot if you want to be, but don't do it. Don't do it in class, because people are paying a lot of money, and some people are taking this very, very seriously. So don't mess it up for everybody else.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a professional environment.
Probably is a bit harsh, but I think it needs to be said.
So I think we're half an hour in, more than half an hour. I think it's time to bring Gary in to the chat. I know you've contributed a little bit as we've been going along. I think it'd be nice to hear from you.
Yeah, sure.
I've got your first slide with your work in. Would you like to talk a bit before I show that slide, or should we dive straight into that magic?
Yeah. Just one thing, just from the chat. You don't need an expensive sketchbook to, practice communicating your ideas. Printer paper, can be a good substitute. It's about being able to communicate ideas with people, and even all of the big industry pros. You go and look at guys like Feng. That he recommends all of his students all start off on really cheap, printer paper, because you're going to just be, it's all stuff you're going to throw away most of the time, so don't worry too much about getting expensive sketchbooks and high quality stuff, you know what I mean. And I think, just to reiterate what you guys have all been saying, the sooner you guys can come to the realization that you're starting this journey in first year, where the aim is to equip you with a set of skills that you are going to be constantly refining through your career, and there's that old the whole 10,000 hours thing. You've got to put in 10,000 hours to sort of get to that level of mastery, and I think the only person who's going to hold you back at the end of the day is yourself. And I feel like the next few slides are probably going to show that, where, like, when I started university, I wasn't applying myself, and I wasn't putting the time and the effort in, and it took a massive impact on my physical and mental health as a result. And having the penny drop and sort of questioning myself and being like, okay, what is my purpose here? You know what I mean? Like, what do I want to do? Well, I want to work in video games, or I want to work in these industries that I feel really passionate about. And there's no excuse, because the wealth of resources that are out there on YouTube, free and paid resources, university it's a time for you to touch base with professionals who have worked in the industry you're looking to go into, who have vast amounts of knowledge on the sort of each discipline, and lean on them, ask for the support. Don't be afraid to show your work and to take the criticism on board, because that is the only way you are going to improve as an artist. Lurking around on in your lectures and stuff, it's not going to get you anywhere. So yeah, I guess now I've done the spiel, I guess, Duke, if you want to put on
So do you want to tell us what we're about to see?
Yeah. Okay. So what you're about to see is my first year
Sorry, Gary.
3D.
I hadn't seen the
Already.
slide.
Already, it's terrible. But yeah, this was my first year 3D module when I
There we go.
submitted in 2009. You know, this was
What year would this have been? Just so we know roughly what tech levels around.
2010, I guess. It started in 2009, but this will have been submitted in 2010. So you can see this is a mess. This is hands down the worst piece of work I've ever done. Look at the, it's embarrassing to watch, but it kind of shows me in a way how far I've sort of been able to develop my skills and stuff. And this, yeah, I did this in 24 hours. Just, I'd left things till the last second, wasn't applying myself, was spending too much time playing video games and not doing the things that I should have been doing. And as a result, it had a massive knock-on effect then to my second year and sort of beyond that, where I was trying to play catch-up with the rest of the year group. So yeah, there is a very loose story to this where the egg finds his friends murdered and then he goes on like a bit of a revenge. He goes seeking revenge and finds the mustache egg and then he knocks him off the side and that's it.
I love it. I love the story as well. It's a perfect example of, just not applying yourself like you said, and
yeah,
rushing a hand in.
It's genuinely terrible. Like, and I don't want any of you to, like, going away from the next few slides thinking, oh well, if Gary can kind of improve himself and be successful, then I can still kind of leave things to the last second. And
I assume you've got better work to show, Gary, because I'm not
We
looking
absolutely
at
will. That's the next
slide. But crucially, I mean, it's a long time ago now, but I do recall you coming to me in class, and of course we had quite a large year group, and you said something to me, and I literally had no idea who you were. And then there's that thing of I hope you don't mind me sort of saying this, but I'll think of that you sort of like finally knuckling down and taking things seriously, which you might want to elaborate on. That's really up to you. But you went from absolutely zero to hero. You were unknown. You were not producing work that anyone was paying any attention to. And suddenly, more or less, not overnight, but certainly in a very short space of time, because you started actually committing yourself to what you were doing, you became one of those students that we were talking about in the office, saying that you want to look out for, which was, today, I think you remain in a very, very tiny minority, possibly of one student, but it is amazing the transformation that you managed to undertake by just realizing what you simply were doing to yourself.
Yeah, but again, I can't really stress the sort of mental and physical kind of effects that it had on me, and it took me having to come to that realization of, okay, what do I want? Why am I here? Why am I spending thousands of pounds a year to study at university? What do I want out of it? And I think the sooner you can kind of come to that realization, the better, and start to, find your passion and your drive for things. And it's something as well that, like I've said, it's never going to, I don't think you're ever going to peak or plateau. You're always going to be, I'm always learning, always still trying to pick stuff up, if anything, revisiting stuff as well. I've been doing kind of low poly sort of stylized stuff for the last 9 months now. So I was, been trying to pick up the high poly to low poly texturing pipeline again. And things have changed. Substance Paint's got new bakers. How do we, how does this work? There's a new decal system in Substance Painter now. I need to learn something about that. So you're always going to be improving as artists and designers as well. Everyone, designers, programmers, the industry is constantly shifting and moving, and you kind of need to ride that wave and prep yourself for that. And yeah, well, Duke, if you want to go on to the
I was
next
going to say,
slide.
should we see where the realization
yeah.
happened of where you wanted
Sure.
to be, and all of a sudden this kind of work started appearing. So so that previous piece was a first year piece. This I think is second year, isn't it? The bottom left is anyway.
Yeah. So to clarify, what happened was I did my second year, and I had to resit my second year. I had a pretty bad second year. Again, kind of wasn't really applying myself, wasn't really putting the hours in and learning the stuff that I needed to do. So I ended up retaking the year, which was the best thing I've ever done, because that meant that I was able to, sort of find that motivation and stuff. Yeah, met Ash and the other great people in that year group and stuff. But this is just a kind of just a selection of stuff from second year. So we've got some, texture generation stuff. There's some trim texture experiments there in the top right, sort of using one texture to texture an entire scene. And then top left is just some, sculpting and baking stuff, all with UE3 at the time. And then the bottom two pictures are my prototyping submission. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a overview of kind of some of the work that I'm doing. And it's not great, but it's clearly leaps and bounds better than that first piece that you saw, and you can see that there's improvement there. There's it's me applying myself and kind of putting the time and the effort in. You know what I mean?
And I also say as well, so not just the improvement of the work and that kind of thing, but from you realizing and changing kind of thing on that, how would you say the enjoyment of actually doing the work was?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, found that enjoyment in it. I hated 3D at first. When I first come to uni, I wanted to be a concept artist because I love drawing and stuff. But I realized very quickly that like my 2D skills weren't up to scratch, and there was a lot of art foundation level stuff that I kind of needed to go back and revisit to sort of even begin to to want to go down that road. And I remember one day when the kind of the I keep saying it, like the penny dropped with 3D, and I was like, oh, I kind of get it now, and then that just opened up so much like possibilities. And yeah, sort of finding that passion to find my little niche kind of working.
And the thing is, I just realised where we were in the story, because that was the end of second year. End of second year, you were not shortlisted. You got into Canal Side. I mean, that's a leap, isn't it? I mean, from somebody that actually had to retake second year to come back and then be in that top tier of students that get chosen to go into studio. And I think in the year you went in, there were 4 of you, weren't there, from design? Because I think there were 4 programmers for design students. So that was a shorter shortlist, and we've had more recently when we've chosen more designers to go in the studio. Yeah. So you really had excelled in a very short space of time.
It come at a cost, though. I had to I was at a disadvantage to everyone else, to 90% of the other people on the course. It was it was a hard year to catch up with everything, because I had to essentially cram my first year work and my second year work together. And that's something that I wouldn't recommend anyone to do. So it's kind of why I'm like advocating for like, hey, put the time in now, put the effort in now, and like it pays off dividends in the future for you. You know what I mean? So I can only say it, but if there's one person in chat right now who's like, yeah, you know what, it makes you think a little bit, then I've kind of done my job. You know what I mean? Like it's about as much as I can do. So Duke, if you want to go on to the next slide.
Should we do the next one?
Yeah, just I realise we're pressed for time a little bit.
Yeah.
So so this is kind of like some of the stuff that I've been doing really. So when I was at university, I did Canal Side for the year for the placement, and then I went to work with Ash at Hypersloth for another year. And sort of while I was doing that, I was getting involved in different things sort of outside in the wider sort of games industry, sort of local, within the sort of Yorkshire region, and also kind of globally as well. So I work with a French company called Sigtrap. Some of you will probably be using it in your 3D modules. It's a great sort of web-based I've got large 3D models there and stuff. It's a bit like Marmoset, but it's all web-based and you can kind of share stuff and things. So I worked with them for quite a while, sort of did some community management stuff with them, and then moved into a sort of a 3D artist role for them. Did some stuff with Microsoft as a games ambassador, and then, you know, sort of started my business in 2014, and that's kind of where I've been since. Just working on a variety of different projects, just basically doing anything and everything, you know. So yeah, that's kind of the deal, really. I'm currently working on Recompile as a 3D environment artist and sort of doing, you know, helping them sort of define the visual styles for, you know, the in-game factions and kind of, you know, things like that. So it's been really fun. Yeah.
I chip in and say, looking at the games you've worked on, each game has a different sort of aesthetic to it. So
Yeah.
you applying yourself and putting in those extra hours, learning 3D and all sorts of different disciplines, I guess has opened up more avenues for you to get into games.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing is like, you know, I really enjoy working in different visual styles. I think maybe that's something that I personally like doing. I know a lot of people, you know, you might get that one person who I just love working in, you know, XYZ and making realistic environments. Like that's my bread and butter, and that's fine. But I do kind of like doing visual explorations and stuff, and you'll see a lot of that on my portfolio where, you know, try out some new styles, try out some new ideas and stuff.
Which portfolio?
Yeah, so you can see my portfolio here. There's all sorts of stuff on there. There's VR sculpting applications like Medium. So, you know, trying to use some new tools, using virtual reality, concepting some ideas, and just really trying to like push things really, and kind of trying to push myself and learn new things, and always again keep your finger on the pulse of the industry and stuff. There's some technical stuff there, the PC building simulator stuff, where a lot of that was back and forth with the hardware manufacturers, just to sort of make sure that the in-game representations of their products were, you know, like as close as they can be to the real thing. I have a 3D sketchbook as well that has just random stuff in it. It's just like just says 3D on it. Duke, if you can, there it is, just bottom left. Yeah, so like this is kind of just, again, playing around with things, just having some ideas, very just rough stuff. So yeah, try out a lot of different things and always, you know, try and be working on something. Admittedly, I've not been at the moment. I feel a bit burned out right now, but you know, so some of this stuff's landed me jobs as well, you know, just like doing this like a little piece in my spare time. And then like that piece there, that got me some work. And there's been other pieces as well where clients have come to me and gone, hey, can you like make this thing? You know, we've seen this image on your portfolio. I'm just looking at the chat. How important do you think it is to work in your own personal projects? I mean, I think at this point, like, you know, focusing on your studies is really important, and, you know, trying to maximize your grades is great. But yeah, you know, nothing wrong with personal projects as well. Just make sure other stuff doesn't go by the wayside, you know.
I think crucially, if I can just jump in there, ultimately, we're only at university for 6 to 7 months of the year, you know. The rest of the time is yours. So yeah, I mean, I know that you did a lot of work on Sub-Level 0 at university, and that was more or less a personal project. You should have really woven it into other modules in a deeper way than you did. That was an opportunity
probably
missed to
should have
some
done,
degree. Yeah, but for everybody else, it always astonishes me that students, you know, stop at the end of the year and then don't really keep on developing that skill set.
Well,
they come back knowing less than they knew at the end of the previous year.
With personal work and personal portfolio work and that, I would say it is very important to be doing that. You've got to think as well that when you finish university and you're all sending out your applications, jobs and all that kind of stuff, a lot of recruiters are going to get hundreds of CVs and portfolios to look at. And if all you're showing is university specific work that might be similar to hundreds of others,
Yep.
then it's not going to make you stand out. It's going to be your work that you have also done outside of university that's going to make you stand out, kind of thing. So yeah, external work and doing more work than just the university work.
Very totally
important.
There's a question in the chat, Gary. What tips do you have to manage your time with uni studies?
I posted it the other day, but I've been recently trying to do the Pomodoro technique at work, where you've set a timer for 25 minutes, set yourself a task. I guess on the biggest scale of managing your time with uni is put the hours in that the modules are telling you that are expecting you to put in. I think one of the another moment where I'd been like, oh wow, okay, I kind of get it now, is when a member of staff at the university basically said to me, you're reading for a degree at the end of the day. You're reading for a degree. You get so much time with your tutors, but everything else is it's on you. And I think at the end of it, there's no one really to kind of, I don't know, put the blame on in a way. I realize there's extenuating circumstances and stuff, but you've also got to be that force to apply yourself and just do your best in the uni studies. But yeah, I totally agree with Mick. It's the personal projects and stuff. It's like you can follow a tutorial to make a barrel, right? And you learn how to make a high poly, and you do the whole baking process and you do the whole texturing process, and it's like, great. That's the piece of work that doesn't go in your portfolio, because now I want to do another asset utilizing the skills that I've just learned. I can't remember what his name is, but there's a guy who does a full tutorial on modeling a high poly, low poly, baking, texturing of a grenade, right? And it's you see it all the time on student portfolios where oh, I've made a grenade, and it's I know this from that tutorial, because I've done it as well. And I think it's the Chamfer Zone guy or whatever, but it's it's about, okay, now I've done this tutorial, how do I apply it further and make something that maybe you're more interested in, so
what I really like is when I'm following tutorials and then it doesn't work, yet I've done exactly the same thing in the tutorial. So that gives me sort of time to start researching what went wrong, why did it go wrong, finding the solutions, and it helps me sort of understand things more too. So
I don't, maybe it's just me, but I've never followed a tutorial in my life.
you were born a professional.
No, my point being, I utilize tutorials, but if I get stuck, there's a lot to learn about all the software. There's always something that you need to learn, but usually I've got a self-set project, and then you get a bit stuck and you go, what's the best way to do that? Ash and I had a conversation this afternoon about the best way to sort of do seaweed, and to get it to look a particular way. And I just went, I genuinely don't know. I'll try a few different methods I've got in my head, but I'll also Google it, and I'll also spend some time on YouTube, and I'll watch other people do random things that are vaguely similar, and I'll choose the one that I think has the best effect, and then I'll utilize that technique in my own process, but I won't just follow a tutorial blindly.
Well, that's it. The more you spend putting in the hours, the more you understand the workflow, and then you can start thinking ahead, okay, I'm sort of stuck on this bit, so I'll just pick this bit up elsewhere. But all that understanding comes with hours being poured into being passionate about something.
Can I just go back to the hours thing as well? Because obviously we're always guilty of this. The module specs and we always say there are a set number of hours, and they're not set. It's the minimum. When we say, you've got to do in your own time 12 hours for this module, well, first of all, we really do mean 12 hours, not 12 hours sat at a keyboard and maybe 2 hours working. We literally do mean 12 hours actually working. But not all hours are as productive as each other, and that is the minimum. And those students that excel are usually the ones that are, really putting in the extra hours and dedicating themselves to it. And again, that's not what we're not allowed to ask for that. We don't want to have to ask for that. That's just what people that are successful do. You become successful because, as Gary said earlier, you're getting closer and closer and closer to that elusive 10,000 hours.
I mean, they're at the perfect point. I mean, most of you is probably not going to have, a family or sort of care of things to do. You've not got children. Yes, some of you will have, but you're in that perfect position to spend those hours pouring in. COVID's here, so you're not out drinking and partying, so more hours that you can pour in. But I will say is look after yourself mentally. If you're feeling burnt out, take that break that you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And seek help. We can point you in the right direction. You've all got personal academic tutors.
Yeah.
So as Ash says, if you're starting to get to the end of your tether mentally, physically, please let us know, because we would see you in labs normally and we'd be able to say you don't look quite right. But of course on this we can't, so we're relying on you a bit more to say help.
Someone's just said, how do you avoid burnout? I think you get a feel for it over time, right? It's like at the moment I'm feeling a little bit burned out. I don't really want to be doing kind of much of like personal work outside of like my current job role, and I just know that I need to take a break from the computer and the keyboard and just kind of reset myself mentally. And I've been looking at some of Scott Robertson's How to Draw books, kind of going back to some dark drawing stuff. I've got my little sketchbook here, just trying to detach myself a little bit, find something else that's not like involving a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor.
Lego.
Yeah. It could be Lego. I paint miniatures, or just watch movies or TV or whatever.
Cooking, yeah. I just
Excuse
want to
me?
add to that cooking, making food, Ash. You dirty boy.
Hang on, Daryl. There's another one about getting not just burnout, but worried about being overwhelmed, particularly
let me
year.
just I probably could maybe talk about those. I mean, you chip in at any time, but my point was that you kind of got to build up to it. Maybe you aren't used to putting in hours, yeah. But we're not asking for a tremendous amount of hours. If realistically, we're looking, for about 35, 40 hours a week. If you find that a struggle and you can burn out doing that for just a few months of the year, well, maybe you need to consider what people in the games industry actually do on a day-to-day. And I would also sort of always say, you can't work 168 hours a week because you need to sleep at some point. But it is possible to enjoy what you do to the extent that 35, 40 hours doesn't seem like a lot of hours, as long as what you're doing is something that you're passionate about. And again, there's that whole question of it: are you doing the right things? Are you doing things that you are passionate about? And certainly, when you get sort of like further into the course, a lot of you will be masters of your own destiny. You'll be asked to come up with concepts and ideas and follow those through to completion. That's down to you. I mean, yes, admittedly, first year is very didactic. You are told what to do in what order and when to do it, but it does change very rapidly through the course. So just think about those things.
Just
do
in a comment.
you guys want to tackle the other side of that?
Well,
just reading the comments about lots of people. There's some really good tips from Gust in game. Is that a wind reference? But some tips about, I was the same. I don't know who it is, but using the support that we give or the university gives, keep on top of work. Don't leave it till the last minute. Muzzy said, don't worry about it's a journey. You're not doing your entire degree in this week. It's 3 or 4 years. It's a process. It's a journey, and the modules are designed to take you through that journey. We're not expecting final year level work by tomorrow. That kind of thing.
True.
Baby steps, as somebody says. And things that I know Gary mentioned, the Pomodoro technique. There are apps for your phone for Pomodoro. And you can actually buy little tomatoes, egg timer tomatoes.
Yeah.
And you put them on your desk and it rings. So, and there's other tools for working like that. And I would suggest the first challenge for you as students, if you haven't found it yet, is find what works for you. Is it Pomodoro? Is it small chunks? Is it binging? Is it one module a day, or 2 or 3 smaller chunks of different modules? Once you've found the way that works best for you, you should be a more successful, or the most successful student that you can be. Ash, you were, sorry, I think I interrupted you.
No, sorry, I was interrupting you. The comment about being overwhelmed. It's understandable if you're not used to it and you're getting all these modules thrown at you. You're actually at an advantage because you've got half the modules if you're first years, but just learning your own pace. So try and break things down into logical sense and don't move on until you're ready to move on. If you're still struggling, come to us in the support sessions. That's what we're there for. And then we can find a way that sort of helps you understand it better. So I would say reiterate on what you've learned. Don't just watch it once and think you know it. Watch it a few times until it sinks in. Maybe apply it in a physical practice to get an understanding of it. And just take it as your own pace, at your own pace, sorry. And I mean, first year, you're going to be doing lots of everything. It's just so you get an interest of what sort of area you like. So don't expect that you need to be super professional in all your modules and have amazing top end work at the end of the year in each module. It's just to introduce you to all the sort of areas of game dev, and then second year onwards you'll start finding a passion that you like more.
We've gone over an hour, so if you're go on, Gary. I was going to say if we want to start wrapping up.
Just a final thought really for me is also just try and surround yourself with people who inspire you, your peers. You're all on this journey together. Post feedback, get crit off your friends, off tutors.
Off ArtStation. I mean, if the certainly you get as you work through the course, just staying sort of in your little parochial bubble isn't clever. Get out there, get yourself noticed, get on ArtStation, get on Twitter. Just sort of follow the right people. I've been talking to my final years about LinkedIn today. It's very dry, but it's where the studio heads hang out. So that's where you want to be.
I think as well. Like I've mentioned this on the Discord as well. Like just make an ArtStation. Post your barrel on there. Post whatever else. Post your work on there, and it's a visual way for you to see your own progress as well. I said this to the first years last year. It's like I find it like a really cool way of tracking your progress. Every little one of those thumbnails is you improving as an artist. I know I'm kind of speaking here generally from like an artist perspective, but having a way of seeing your progress is really good, really motivational. And again, having that support network of people, of friends who you're going to make. The industry, the UK industry in particular, is not very big. You'll go to any event, you'll bump into so many people who, ex-colleagues, people you've worked, friends and stuff like that. Like it's a really small industry. So, you're building a reputation for yourself as well for the future. So that goes with what Ash was saying before about people being, edgy comments and memes and stuff and, bullying, harassment, all that stuff. It matters, like you're starting your professional career, so you need to act like a professional, regardless of your, politics and ideology and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like we've all got to work together, and the industry's small and word gets around. So, try and just be a good person. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. That's it.
Awesome.
That's some good facts. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. We better end it there before Daryl talks again.
Or I talk.
Okay, thanks for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the outro.
Bye.
Yeah.